play humans on your left against William Colton, playing Affinity on your right. Other matchups here, we mentioned Kevin King with lands against Jacob Koshak, playing Punishing Abzan, and then Julian John playing Mardu Vehicles against Maxwell Dresslar, playing Blue-White Approach. Players are given the green light. We are underway. Rosum will start things off, looks like with a Cavern of Souls and an Ether Vial. Cavern, of course, naming humans for his tribal-centric deck. For William, it's a Darksteel Citadel. It's one of those nice little ornithopters.
We're still doing bingo. I would have got an unexpected space there.
It's true. If you hadn't lost in bingo already, you'd have that. I had to get that in. Ancient Ziggurat into Thalia, Guardian of Thraben here for Rosum.
Once again, classic competitors, that is time in the round.
We'll go over to William Colton now. Now Rosum does have a copy of Reflector Mage in his hand. That's a big one. Plays a big role in this matchup. Also has a copy of Kitesail Freebooter, which will be a little bit better than you think, because you're really just looking for a flyer. And an expensive Springleaf Drum means that William Colton's hand does not appear to be very good. That's his turn 2 play.
Well, the Thalia could have potentially pushed him off of something like Cranial Plating, so he still may have a payoff card here. But this is a slow Affinity start, for sure.
We're going to go over to Rosum now. Thalia in there. Colton will take 2. Rosum will activate that vial. Get a look at things with the Kitesail Freebooter. As Colton takes a look, we'll take a look at the Freebooter too. So that everybody knows exactly what it does. Mountain, a Master of Ethereum, a Cranial Plating, as you mentioned, and a Blink Moth Nexus. Freebooter is going to steal that Cranial Plating. It can do that because when it enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it and exile that card until Kitesail Freebooter leaves the battlefield. And now it's Kessig Malcontents. Going to deal a little bit of damage here. And we will head back over to William Colton. Good start here for Rosum.
Yep, really important for him to get that Cranial Plating out of hand. That's one of the problems with the matchup game 1. This deck doesn't interact with the battlefield all that well and doesn't have a whole lot in the way of flying. So Cranial Plating on a flying creature is really problematic.
Especially on a Vault Scourge, which of course you can gain a bunch of life with. Here's a Master of Ethereum. That's going to grow all the artifact creatures, of course. Make Vault Scourge into a 2-power flyer. So Colton's going to gain 2 life. Rosum will lose a little bit of life. But that Master of Ethereum is a juicy target for the Reflector Mage that is in Rosum's hand that he can now play via the Ether Vial. John will play a Plains. He's going to use the Cavern, perhaps, to play a Champion of the Parish. Now he'll activate the Vial. And here comes Reflector Mage. That'll trigger the Champion to grow a little bit, and Master Ethereum will go back to the grip. Here comes the Malcontents, the Thalia, and the Freebooter in for 6 total damage. So Rosum doing a nice job here of cluttering up the battlefield. Remember, this is a deck without removal. Reflector Mage does a nice job of buying time, though.
And Rosum is out of resources.
Colton will play a Mountain.
The easiest way for Colton to flip this race around is to have something that grows the Vault Scourge.
Yes.
Not really easy for Rosum to interact with. Cranial Plating would be the star here. The Master of Ethereum he's going to have to wait a turn on regardless. There it is.
Yeah, it's starting to get there. Galvanic Blast will take care of the Freebooter. Cranial Plating will go back to hand.
Now he's still got to pay more,
which he has,
as the Thalia is still on the battlefield.
This would be a good time for one of those Thalia's Lieutenants. Phantasmal Image, Reflector Mage, not Ancient Ziggurat.
It's interesting, though, because, you know, are you blocking here? I understand that Rosum has draws that kill you, but the way of stabilizing this game to me seems like you need to have the Vault Scourge in the first place. Because you actually need the life. So it's interesting there from Colton. I would have assumed my line, I think, would be just attack with the Vault Scourge, acknowledging that a lot of draws kill me because I can't afford to lose the Vault Scourge anyway.
So you missed out on a point of life there.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. He's down to 1.
Yeah,
could be a 2.
And if you gain the life there, then you aren't dead to just any random human growing the champion because you had the point to spare.
Hope of Gear Pow. And now it's going to be a Master of Ethereum, which will grow all the artifact creatures, of course. And now Vault Scourge is going to wear a hat. Into the red zone comes the Vault Scourge, so it's all working out right now. As the lifelinking flyer is going to get a little bit larger, activate Inkmoth Nexus to have another artifact on the battlefield.
And I get a count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, not, I don't know, a lot.
Yep, looks like 8. So Colton and Rosum, they're all tied up at 9 now. And Rosum just comes up a little bit short, 1 damage short to be exact, as William Colton's going to win game number 1 here over Jonathan Rosum. Affinity up a game here over Humans. As we take a look at the rest of the scoreboard here, Kevin King and Jacob Koshak still playing their match. And then we've got Marty Vehicles in the hands of Julian John and Maxwell Dresslar playing Blue White Approach, still playing their match. So while these players get ready for the sideboard up, we are going to hear a few messages from our sponsors.
Go. Go.
Welcome back, everybody. Jonathan Ross and William Colton. That's the match we're watching right now. It's Humans versus Affinity. We'll go quickly here through the sideboards, as we'll start with Rosum, who's got 3 Sin Collector, 2 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Dismember, 2 Izzet Staticaster, 2 Mirran Crusader, 2 Vithian Renegades, a Keswick Malcontents, and a Zathrid Necromancer.
The Dismember, Staticasters, and Renegades. Those are the upgrades here. Maybe he wants to bring in the Malcontents if he has less efficient options, but those 6 are very good.
For Colton, he's got 2 Ancient Grudge. Those are obvious. Not for this matchup, though. 2 Blood Moons, 2 Edge Champions, 2 Gear Power Aether Grids. I like that one. 2 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Rule of Law, a Whip Flare. Wow, okay, and a Tezzeret Angel of Bullmoss.
I think the Whip Flares and the Aether Grids are really good for containing the creatures on the other side of the battlefield. Wouldn't touch anything else.
For a minute there, I thought we were in Affinity Mirror. I was wrong, as it looks like Rosum is going to keep, I think. Yeah, he's happy. Secret. Ooh, no turn 1 play. I guess he may have a Dismember in hand. There's an Ornithopter. And an Ornithopter.
Ooh. Coming out firing.
And a Drum. And a Vault Scourge. Down to 18 goes Colton. Let's go back to Rosum.
Modern Classic competitors, your
Picked up a Reflector Mage.
6 are now online.
What do we have here? Ooh, boy.
And being posted up on
Thigh's
Whoa.
Lieutenant, huh?
Whoa,
Yeah.
Live Classic competitors, your pairings.
what a deal.
Well, that means Rosum has sideboard cards in his hand. That's the only explanation I have. And I think I caught a glimpse of an instant Staticaster in his hand. Because if this is how he's starting,
And this is really bad news if Colton has his Aether Grid.
oh, the grid's tough. Signal Pest. Bzz. Galvanic Blast. Get that 1/1 out of here. That's Rosum has to be so happy that happened, actually.
Yeah. Still needs to draw a land, though.
Oh, he's missing a land? Boy.
His hand's just all threes, I think.
Shaky keep. Rosum might have to pass the turn back. He's got Dismember in hand, so now he's got to get that ready. Memnite, what's up? And that is Arcbound Ravager. Gonna kill Signal Pest.
This is, I'm assuming, in response to the Ravager.
Yeah. That's the payoff card. So no grid. It's Galvanic Blast for Colton. Here's an attack for 1.
Ravager does a lot to mitigate the impact of Staticaster in this spot, too.
Horizon Canopy's land 3. All right, he can play. I think he's got to start with Reflector Mage. Yep, target
Yep.
Ravager.
If you can Reflector Mage the Ravager, then things get very good the following turn for your Staticaster.
Mm-hmm.
You can start making some inroads on the board, and that really does a lot to contain the impact of Ravager long term.
There's Inkmoth Nexus. Well, no, there's Reflector Mage. You can take a look at that.
Yeah, Colton's down to 1 card in hand,
Yep.
so
Live Classic
gotta wait a minute.
competitors, please raise your hand.
Memnite is going to hold off 2. There we go. That's the only attack we can make this turn, William.
Please assist these players in getting to their seats.
All right, Colton will pass the turn back. Rosum with Staticaster. He's got Mantis Rider.
Welcome.
He has Phantasmal Image.
6 of 8. You have 50 minutes. You may begin.
It might be time just to go straight to Staticaster right now and take care of that Vault Scourge. It's causing a lot of problems. Also got to be wary of the Inkmoth Nexus, though.
Well, you can always pass and just do whatever you want to do in response to the Ravager being redeployed.
Also true. Whew.
I mean, on the table, this is fine, right? You can block the Memnite with your Staticaster and shoot the Vault Scourge, so
Yeah.
might as well hit.
Every point counts. All right. Here's a response. Is the Staticaster. Kill the Vault Scourge. Okay.
Memnite time. It's time.
What is this? Ugh. Okay. Another Vault Scourge. Here comes Memnite. I just wonder if this point matters that he's taking from Memnite. That's my question.
Yeah, he gave up the point from the Reflector Mage,
Mm-hmm.
or the 2 points from the Reflector Mage got converted.
Seachrome Coast the draw. Rossum's going to play a Phantasmal Image, it looks like. Curious what he's going to copy. Copying Reflector Mage, Tarking Archon Ravager.
I think he's got the resources here to manage the board so long as the Ravager is in play the whole time.
Look at him, not stopping of the attacks. He's trying to shorten the game. Play Seachrome Coast, pass the turn back. You can start to see exactly why Phantasmal Image is so good in this deck. By the way, it's not a human, but it kind of is.
He does have to shorten up the length of the game a little bit because he is very vulnerable to cranial plating right now. Just goes on the Ornithopter and
Steel Overseer. He's probably headed to the graveyard soon. Here comes Vault Scourge. Probably not.
yeah, I think in the spot where you're playing against the Staticaster, I would rather try to wait and play a bunch of things in one turn to try to manage the Staticaster rather than, here's a one-toughness creature in the face of your Staticaster when there isn't really anything else taxing.
Catholic Malcontents the draw. Gonna go to Kitesail Freebooter because I think John wants a flying blocker. He'll take one. Gonna fall down to 9. We're gonna see Thalia's Lieutenant now. Make these creatures a little bit larger. Okay. Get your dice handy. Ah, here come those Reflector Mages.
Yeah, and I think this is now that we've hit a position where Colton can't really get out. Rosum's got the air covered, and I think the one route for Colton to work around this was cranial plating on a flyer. Now that's been shut off, and Colton's not going to get a whole lot of time here either to try to set something up.
Yeah, things have certainly gotten a little more difficult here for William, no doubt about it. There's Archon Ravager. The follow-up is Vault Scourge. Going to pay 2 life for that. Down to 9. Now Ross will untap. See if he can finish this one off here. Or William Colton's got something up his sleeve as we head back over to Jonathan. Rosum still with a copy of Mantis Rider in hand too. Can't forget about that one.
And now, Ross, I'm just trying to figure out, can I close out the game this turn, in a way that doesn't expose me to anything risky? Doesn't appear that Rosum could find a line that would cooperate. And so just going to send the Reflector Mages again.
Yep.
Interesting to see here if Colton just decides to, for example, just move the vault, move the Memnite onto the Ravager and just try to make a block. The rest of his material on this table really isn't worth a whole lot here. And that's being generous.
That is being generous, I agree. Malcontents.
It looks like Colton ran a no blocks there, trying to build up his board, and this should do it.
And Malcontents will do it. So Jonathan Rossum's going to win game number 2 here against William Colton. Humans and Affinity going to get ready for a 3rd and final one. You also note that Kevin King tied things up against Jason Koshak. So lands and punching Abzan getting ready for game number 3. And for Marty Vehicles and Blue-White Approach, if the game is going this long,
good for approach.
Probably good for approach. So these players get ready here for game number 3. We'll turn our attention there in just a second. But first, a quick message from our sponsors. back, everybody. Quick little scoreboard update here for you. We got Maxwell Dresslar with Blue White Approach. He won game number 1 over Julian John playing Mardu Vehicles. We had a feeling if that was going long, life was pretty good there for Dresslar.
Yep.
It's generally how things work with the old approach deck. I like the fact that he's got Gideon of the Trials in his deck. Don't see that card very often.
See a little bit of it in Modern. In the Gideon
in the
control decks.
Yeah, in the Blue-White control deck in Modern, you do see that card. It's a pretty nice card actually there, but... Now, we turn our attention to Humans and Affinity one more time to see how this will go. See Colton looking for a little advice from the teammates. Rosum maybe giving his thoughts to Julian John, while Kevin King, the lands aficionado, he doesn't need any help up there in the corner, top left of your screen. He's doing his thing. Team on your left here in King, Rosum, and John, they have grinded their way up to 3rd place heading into this round. And if they are able to win, I don't want to say it locks up a top 8 berth, but it puts them in a pretty darn good shape to get one.
Yeah, unclear how friendly the top 8 will be to an X and 4 record, even with their tiebreakers right now, I believe, being at the top of the pile.
Looks like John may have sent his hand back. You do need a very specific cards against Affinity.
Yep.
A normal hand will not work.
And on the draw, you need it to be pretty fast, too.
Yes. That's the other part. So we'll see if he can find 6 cards. A Vial, a Noble Hierarch, something like that. I think those are the best 1-drops you can have. Much better than Champion and Perish on the draw. Need some interaction. Got to find those Staticasters, those Renegades, those Reflector Mages. And heck, even some flyers like Freebooter and Mantis Rider.
Curious if Champion of the Parish is even in the deck post-board.
I would be curious about that as well.
He might
just a big idiot.
Yeah, he might just be more of a control deck in the post-board games.
Yeah. Top card's going to go to the bottom there for Rosum. And you know that feeling when you're playing against Affinity. You just hope their first turn's not too brutal. We haven't seen a Mox Opal from Colton yet. Seen a lot of those Ornithopters, though.
Oh, yeah.
No shortage of those. Springleaf Drum again. Signal Pest. All right, 5 of the 7. You can live with that. Ancient Ziggurat. In hand, Unclaimed Territory, the draw, naming Humans, pass a turn back. Rosum does have Dismember in hand, so a little early interaction.
Really important for Colton to get that on the battlefield on this turn also.
I totally agree.
Get it out in front of the Freebooter or potentially a Meddling Mage.
Plating, of course, I think the most powerful card in Affinity.
Well, some matchups are plating matchups and some matchups are Ravager matchups. This right here where Colton, you know, there is some removal in Rosum's deck, and usually that's the type of matchup where you want Ravager. But Rosum's so vulnerable to flyers and can create a pretty overwhelming clock and win the game without having to kill a bunch of stuff, that I think plating is the real prize here.
So time for Kitesail Freebooter it is. Get a good look at the hand here. Blood Moon.
Looks like he brought in Blood Moon. Which,
oh, Humans can't beat it.
well, they can beat it with Vial.
Vial and it's very hard.
Yeah.
Vial and Hierarch are really the only ways, and the Hierarch isn't even that good against it. There's Blink Moth Nexus.
And it's tough because, you know, if you're really vulnerable right now to the Blood Moon, can you afford to be blocking? But can you afford to be taking these kind of hits? I think Rosum just gotta live with it here.
We just gotta take that one.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Let's go back over to John now.
Colton's operations have been pretty sharp so far. You know, he definitely knows the order of operations and such with this deck.
Rosum slow rolling himself. Love it. What do I need this card to be?
Vithian Renegades.
Phantasmal Image is not horrible. It'll be good down the road.
Yeah, these are not quite the right tools here.
I think you might have to go to Mantis Rider here.
The problem is, you know, yes, you can block and trade with these flyers, but Affinity kills you with the leftovers so easily because of the creature lands. So if you don't, you know, in the short term, yes, you're not going to die. But long term, if you don't answer the plating or lock out the creature lands in some fashion, this is all just temporary.
Well, there's an attack for 3 with the Mantis Rider. Colton's going to fall down to 17. We saw just how good Staticaster was in the last game. Might be good this game, too, if he ever draws it. That makes things more difficult.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Another cranial plating. This is one of those cranial plating matchups, huh?
Yeah. Flyers and plating.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the recipe in game 1, and we're seeing it here, too. So how many artifacts on the battlefield here? I count 7.
He's going to count them with you.
So not quite lethal, but he's got to trade off with one of them. And the freebooter can only chump. Doesn't actually make any headway here.
I'll just take it and go to 2.
Yeah, I think that's the best. That's the best option. But
I mean, options aren't good.
right, the options aren't good.
They're not good. I'm trying to figure out what the best draw is now. It's not, Renegades is fine, but it's not even great anymore. Horizon Canopy, not you.
Yeah, I mean, you can Reflector Mage and an Ornithopter.
That's nice.
And then
that's nice.
And then the freebooter can trade off with wherever the plating goes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just describing the options as they are afforded to Rosum right now.
You're saying game actions that are available.
Well, now your freebooter can actually line up and trade with,
You can trade with Signal Pass.
a card.
Yeah.
With the Ornithopter having 2 toughness, the freebooter can't block there effectively.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, that could unlock the Blood Moon, but not clear Colton has enough mana and a turn to do everything that he would want to do.
17-2. Darksteel Citadel. Ornithopter, last card in hand.
So I think Colton right now trying to figure out, is there a way to get 2 attackers? I don't think there is.
Nope.
And is there a way to attack in a way that allows you to cast the Blood Moon after combat, assuming the freebooter has to get in front?
Nope.
I believe that the answer is also no. I think the best thing that he can do is put a plating on either a Nexus or the Signal Pest, whichever, and trade off with the freebooter. Try again next turn. That's not a bad consolation prize. That's still a plenty good turn.
Totally fine.
But Colton can't quite end the game right here.
Julian John, Maxwell Dresslar, they're all tied up in standard now. Maori Vehicles, Blue-White Approach, getting ready here for game number 3. Maybe we'll be jumping that way. Nexus is going to wear a hat. Going to do a quick count. I actually think that's an Ink Moth, not a Blink Moth. So that's my apologies there. Which changes things, because you might be willing to say, okay, I'll take the infect damage. You know?
Yeah. And in that scenario, then I think I would have preferred just putting the second plating on there and force the issue.
Sure, because it's not lethal attack.
Right. Allowing
yeah.
Rosum just to not have to deal with a non-lethal attack to me seems not the way you would want to manage it.
Yeah.
I guess the alternative is you get to spend your mana left over putting the plating here, and then next turn both flyers are lethal, so it's not nothing.
Yeah, but you'd rather be attacking for lethal. You get that Blood Moon back, the freebooters off the battlefield, all of it.
Right.
I wonder what Rosum needs to peel here. Because he does have a Horizon Canopy he can cash in.
It's not the worst for if he gets a Staticaster.
Yep.
That does some work here.
He's got Image.
You know, if the puzzle here is Staticaster, if that's really the long-term solution, then what he needs to do is make sure that his resources, that as they currently exist here, don't trade off with the 1 toughness stuff. You need the Staticaster to clean up all of that, and then use your leftover cards to manage Ornithopter and whatever else is coming after the fact.
Yep, here's Lieutenant. Okay. So here comes Reflector Mage. Now we pass over to William Colton, who's got a ton of great draws for the record. As an example, Galvanic Blast is a game winner.
Yeah, Aether Grid I think maybe as well.
Yep, there's Mox Opal. Here's Ornithopter. Fire up the Nexus. Equip the Nexus, make it a lethal attacker. Obviously, Freebooter's about to block. They'll trade. Blood Moon will go back to hand. There we go.
So now his 2-card hand is Blood Moon plus the Signal Pest that got bounced.
Yep.
Yeah, this was my problem with Rosum's line from last turn, is now Staticaster's no good.
Staticaster's no good. A flying blocker is good. An image is good.
He certainly has draws,
Yep.
but I thought the path here was you have your Phantasmal Image on Reflector Mage to answer the Ornithopter the next turn, and you need to get to a Staticaster to stabilize all of this.
I think that's a Lieutenant and a Champion of the Parish.
Rosum might have had a different line in mind, but that was the first thing that came to me.
If you play your spells confidently in attack, will your opponent block? You gotta try.
It's non-lethal.
5/6.
And he's already played a land.
Yep.
Colton sees through it.
He saw right through it. Blink Moth Nexus. Equip a Cranial Plating. I will attack you for lethal. That is going to do it. William Colton's going to win this game and match over Jonathan Rosum. 2-1. Infinity will take care of humans. And for the team of Koshak, Colton, and Dresslar, they are currently up a match here over King, Rosum, and John.
Without the sideboard cards, I think that Rosum has a lot of problems with Flyers plus Cranial Plating. And in games 1 and 3, Colton was able to put it together. And that was good enough to win the match.
Yes, it was. So, congratulations to William Colton. Affinity, pretty good matchup against humans, though. Humans, it's a little closer, I think people realize. Rosum demonstrated that there in that match. So now we are going to jump over to Standard. We're going to watch Julian John play Marty Vehicles against Maxwell Dresslar playing Blue-White Approach. We're early on in game number 3 here, and you can see on Dresslar's side, he's got a Search for Escanta and a couple of lands on the battlefield. You see the life total is updated here. It appears to be 20-20, and we're going to be jumping right on in. Veteran Motorist is scrying thanks to that Concealed Courtyard and Mountain. Search for Escanta will put an island in the graveyard. I'm going to land into Baffling End to take care of the Veteran Motorist. Gone forever. Thank you much. A new one and a very good one from Rivals of Ixalan. Now this is where teamwork comes in here. Scrappy Scrounger, Toolcraft Exemplar there for Julian John. 2 solid plays. One thing Approach is very good against, though, however, is creatures. It's kind of what this deck is tailored to beat. You see 4 mana available, Settle the Wreckage now available and on the radar of Julian John and Jonathan Rosum.
How many basics are in John's deck? Because I know he goes big after board. A bunch.
Yeah, 3 mountains, 3 plains.
Okay, so plenty.
He does have the ability to go bigger after sideboard with Chandra, Torch of Defiance, Ongrath, the Flame Chained, and a bunch of other things. There's your Settle the Wreckage. It's funny, Settle is this card where it's very obvious when the opponent has it, but at the same time, what are you going to do? Not attack?
Or attack with a little bit.
Just stack with 1? They'll just wait you out.
With a deck with Glimmer of Genius, I mean, saying go, I don't think is a... You just got to slog through it.
Yeah.
And John can mitigate it a little bit post-board by just bringing in a bunch of expensive Planeswalkers and having something to do with the mana. Now with Jonathan Rosum having lost this match, he's free to just consult Julian John here.
Mm-hmm. Gonna head back over to Dresslar now, who's still working with his search. That's Amit Eternal, card we have not seen in a very long time. Just one of those in Julian John's deck here this weekend. Irrigated farmland there for Dresslar before passing the turn back. Working towards first search for his console. 4 cards in the graveyard, just a couple more to go. On middle hit. 3 mana 5/5. A lot more to it though. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, put a -1/-1 counter on Amit Eternal. Whenever Amit Eternal deals combat damage to a player, remove all -1/-1 counters from the zombie crocodile demon. As there is a scrap heap scrounger. Here's a glimmer of genius from Maxwell Dresslar. Should be a -1/-1 counter there on Amit now.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure we get that battlefield updated.
Dresslar now resolving his search for his Conta trigger.
Yep, he's got 5 cards in the graveyard. He's going to keep it at 5, it appears. Our black counters there on the battlefield are -1/-1 counters. White ones are generally +1/+1 or better. And I'm glad we went through all that work to get the right dice. Fumigate will take care of that. Harvester still left over, though, there for Julian John, so he does have something that's eligible to attack this turn, so long as he has a creature to crew it.
Can always get back the Scrounger. But this is the type of spot where, you know, if you're in John's position, you really want a Planeswalker this turn. Shields are actually down.
There's Toolcraft Exemplar. Crew the Harvester, pay the energy, gain a little bit of life.
Yeah, Dresslar will take that turn if that's all that's happening here.
The follow-up is a cast out.
Okay.
Going to go after the search. Search for Wisconsin was doing a lot of nice work this game, so to remove that is a pretty big deal. This is a Regal Caracal. So he's gone towards the creatures, has Dresslar. Now, it does make you wonder if he still has some copies of Approach in the deck or not. I'm sure we'll find out at some point, but we know he's got Caracal from the sideboard. Julian John with his Harvester, only 1 energy left. Though Lifelink doesn't play a huge role in things in this matchup. Toolcraft Exemplar, cast out, took care of the search for Escanta, and we can't forget about the Scrounger that Patrick mentioned in the graveyard. Life totals here 23-14 in favor of John, but it's not so much about life totals here in this matchup as there's another copy of Ether Sphere Harvester.
Yeah, trying to work around the Caracal this way by going to the air. Problem is that the Caracal is so good as an attacker on this spot too.
There's an attack for 3.
And that's a little bit of information there from John's side by playing the Canyon Slough there at post-combat with so much mana already on the table. Suggests he has some big follow-up here.
Well, here's Approach. So now we know what the game's about to be about.
Clock is ticking.
Dressed up to 18 now. I like it. Wants to know exactly how far away it is. Sometimes it can be tough to forget, tough to remember, excuse me. Scrap Heap Scoundrel going to come in, block one of these. A little bit of life gain going to take place here, so I think Dressler's plan is just I need to gain as much life as possible. Approach, of course, does get easier to find when you have Search for Escanta and Escanta Transformer. You can find it basically right away, but it doesn't have that right now, so.
So John, it's going to be tough for him to attack on the ground, obviously. So he's got to do it in the air. And it's not clear that he'll be able to race all the life gain on the other side before the approach comes off. Curious to see what the last card in John's hand was, because I thought that playing of the Canyon Slew there was interesting last turn.
Well, there's Hazoret.
That would explain it.
Yep.
He wants mana and he wants a card out of his hand.
Yep, that does make sense.
It's going to be, this one's going to be close.
There are your crews, trigger from Toolcraft Exemplar as well. And here come the Knuckleheads. Yep, there's a snap block. Dressler's got a lot of good draws right here. Fumigate is, well, Fumigate's actually not insane. It's merely okay. I mean, another approach, of course, is a game winner. Cast out's not terrible.
This is a good sweat. This one's going to be, I think this will be a squeaker here.
It's going to be a pretty close game too, yeah. Got a little kitty cat here as a blocker.
And Dressler here deciding not to cast out the Hazard right away. I guess there is an argument that he may want to cycle instead.
It's one card deeper.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He's just got to hold off for a few more turns.
Also, if he has Glimmer of Genius plus cycling cast out, he's just there, right?
Yeah.
It's just 5 cards.
Yeah, because he's down to, for the Glimmer's 4 in essence, and then the cast out's 5. Taking a look through the graveyard here. Teams being consulted. Just trying to figure out if there's any way to close the game out this turn. I mean, obviously, the whole game from John's perspective is cutting out a turn if possible. Because depending on Dressler's hand and how he cycles.
Powerful new Planeswalker there and on Graph. Again, Dressler's got some things to think about here. Remember, we got another match up top, too, between Kevin King and Jacob Koshak.
Because that Angarth can threaten the cat. And what's that do to the clock? 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't think Angarth gets into lethal this turn one way or the other. But it does sew up lethal the following turn. And Dressler's just got to make sure, you know, if he's got this sewn up where as long as he doesn't die this turn, he doesn't have to care, then he can just let this go.
Plus is going to make Maxwell discard and lose 2 life. I mean, this is a good time to double and triple check things.
Yeah.
So I don't mind this.
Because Dressler's got it's every point of life and it's every card down. So it's got to be a precise count here.
Just go, oof.
Okay, so Dressler's got it sewn up then. If he's I've got bad news. Julian, I've got bad.
I have horrible news.
I've got some bad news.
You're discarding settle. You're discarding settle the wreckage. But you better be right about this. Supreme Will is the same as Glimmer.
Yeah, it's 4 cards.
Yep. And he even found a cast out. Yeah, which cycle. It's a cycle party. Yeah, boy. Discarding settle the wreckage is so awesome. I do not need this. Cycle again. There's approach. We are donezo. Maxwell Dressler is going to win this game and match over Julian John. So this match is now all tied up. Some very nice play there from your blue-white approach player. And now it just makes me wonder, what's going on at the top match here? What's going on at the top match between Kevin King and Jacob Koshak?
They're packing it up. Koshak Don't go to it. We're
Oh,
done.
it doesn't matter. My fault. Yeah.
No, I thought we were just like. No,
I thought they were tied up.
And
My
let's go
fault.
check out the garbage time
Yeah,
match.
no.
Because often, especially I've seen this on the losing team.
Sure.